Imagine a man named Alex. Like many of us, he's navigated the winding roads of relationships, often going out of his way to show loyalty, to give generously, and to prove his commitment to those he cares for. He's a good friend, a loving partner, and a steadfast supporter. Yet, despite his sacrifices, Alex feels an unspoken emptiness, a subtle drain on his energy and happiness, as if he's giving away small pieces of himself each day. Have you ever felt this way? That in giving so much to others, you somehow lose sight of yourself? Today, we will uncover 9 profound insights inspired by the enduring philosophy of Stoicism, a guide to regain control, balance, and strength in relationships. You'll journey with Alex as he explores these timeless lessons, each one challenging him to reshape his perspective and redefine his boundaries. If you've ever felt unseen, undervalued, or unsure of your path in a relationship, perhaps Alex's story will resonate with you. Stick with us to the end, as the final principle may just be the piece that brings everything together. 1. Don't sacrifice your life to fit another's expectations. What does it mean to truly be yourself in a world that constantly demands more of you? Alex once dated a woman named Lily, who was intelligent, kind, and filled with strong opinions about how life should be lived. Over time, Alex noticed himself slowly adapting to her lifestyle, her routines, even her worldview. She liked early mornings, so he started waking up at dawn, even though he thrived at night. She preferred classical music, so he began listening to it too, shelving his love for jazz. On the surface, Alex was simply compromising, blending in to create harmony. But internally, he felt a quiet loss, as if his identity was slipping away. Have you ever felt pressured to change who you are for the sake of a relationship? It's natural to adapt, to compromise, to find common ground. But when do these small adjustments cross the line and start chipping away at the core of who you are? In the philosophy of Stoicism, there's a saying by Seneca that rings true here: everywhere means nowhere. Trying to be everything to everyone, or in Alex's case, reshaping himself to match Lily's life, leaves a person without a firm sense of self, scattered and uncertain. As Alex looked back on the relationship, he saw how, in trying to fit her mold, he'd lost sight of his own. He'd stopped visiting his favorite jazz club. He hadn't picked up his guitar in months, and he'd let his friendships fade, all in an attempt to be the partner he thought she wanted. It wasn't that Lily was demanding these changes. Rather, Alex had imposed them upon himself, believing they were necessary to make the relationship work. He realized too late that he had traded his individuality for a false sense of security. The teachings of Stoicism encourage us to stand firm in our beliefs, to cultivate our unique traits, and to follow our own paths rather than merging entirely with another's. If you find yourself adapting too much, remember this: relationships are not about losing yourself to gain someone else's approval. They are about two people sharing their strengths, differences, and values, supporting each other's growth. When you abandon your passions, your values, and your identity, you bring a diluted version of yourself into the relationship. Instead of bending to fit someone else's life, Stoicism teaches us to embrace our individuality as a guiding light. Alex now understood that being true to himself didn't mean he loved Lily any less. It simply meant he could love her more genuinely, without resentment or regret. He started setting boundaries, reintroducing his own routines, and following his interests without apology. And to his surprise, the relationship grew stronger as Lily began to see the confident, authentic man he was. Have you ever found yourself compromising too much? Have you put aside your hobbies, your interests, even your values, to fit someone else's expectations? Perhaps it's time to revisit those aspects of yourself and bring them back into the light. 2. Don't become obsessed with someone at the cost of your own life. What happens when we make someone the center of our world, forgetting our own dreams and aspirations? As Alex continued exploring his relationship with Lily, he realized something troubling. His life had become entirely centered around her. He would rearrange his entire schedule if she wanted to meet up, and often postponed his own goals just to ensure she was happy. His friends started to notice, and one evening, his best friend Daniel confronted him. "Alex, it's like you're on autopilot, orbiting around Lily. When was the last time you did something for yourself?" Alex brushed it off at first, believing he was merely being a devoted partner, but late that night, Daniel's words lingered in his mind. He couldn't remember the last time he'd done something that wasn't for her. His own dreams and ambitions had become faint echoes, overshadowed by his commitment to Lily's happiness. In the teachings of Stoicism, there's a reminder that happiness cannot come solely from external sources. As I once wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." When we pour all our attention and energy into another, we risk losing sight of ourselves entirely. Alex began to see how he'd become like a satellite, caught in Lily's gravitational pull, drifting further from his own orbit. One day, while reflecting on this, Alex decided to reconnect with an old passion of his, painting. He'd loved art since childhood, but in the rush of life and relationships, he'd let his paintbrushes gather dust. With newfound determination, he picked up his materials and lost himself in creating once again. The experience was like a breath of fresh air. In this small act, he found a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years, a reminder of the quiet strength that resided within him, untouched by the highs and lows of his relationship. It was then that he realized the value of cultivating his own life, dreams, and interests. He didn't have to diminish his love for Lily. Instead, he had to love himself enough to preserve his individuality. Relationships, according to Stoicism, should not consume us to the point of self-neglect. Rather, they should add to our lives, inspiring us to be better while we remain rooted in our own values and passions. Alex knew that the path forward would be one of balance. He started dedicating time to his art, to his friendships, and to goals he'd once sidelined. And as he became more fulfilled in his own pursuits, his relationship with Lily transformed too. She appreciated seeing his passion, and their connection deepened as a result. They were no longer just partners. They were two individuals sharing their lives without eclipsing one another. Have you ever found yourself so wrapped up in someone that you forgot your own dreams? Perhaps there's something you've neglected, a passion or a purpose, waiting for you to rekindle it. If we can find happiness within, we bring something priceless to any relationship, a sense of wholeness, peace, and balance. 3. Don't sacrifice your mental health and happiness for another. Can love flourish when it's nurtured at the expense of our own peace? Alex was beginning to reclaim his passions and reconnect with himself, but as his relationship with Lily deepened, he found himself in a new dilemma. Lily often turned to him for emotional support, and while he was happy to be there for her, Alex started noticing an emotional toll it was taking on him. After hours spent comforting her through one personal crisis after another, he would leave feeling drained, anxious, and out of balance. He was so focused on ensuring her happiness that he neglected his own peace of mind. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, he confided in Daniel again. "I'm always there for her, but sometimes I feel like I'm losing myself in the process," Alex admitted. Daniel, who had a grounding perspective, reminded him of something essential. "Alex, love and support are beautiful things to offer, but not if it leaves you empty. You need to take care of your own well-being too." In that moment, Alex remembered a fundamental teaching from Stoicism. Our mental health is a fortress that we must protect with unwavering vigilance. Our happiness, our peace, and our inner balance are not simply sacrifices to be made. They're treasures that we must preserve, even while being there for others. When we overextend ourselves for another person, we often end up losing a part of our own stability. This realization was not easy for Alex. The very idea of setting boundaries felt selfish at first. He worried that if he wasn't available to Lily every moment, it might affect their relationship. But he also knew that his constant state of anxiety and depletion was unsustainable. In Stoicism, there's a belief that one must nurture one's inner peace as if it were a garden, allowing only what promotes growth and weeding out what causes harm. Alex took a leap and decided to prioritize his mental health. He began setting gentle boundaries, making it clear that while he cared deeply, he also needed time to recharge. He would take solitary walks, practice meditation, and even set aside time to journal his thoughts, a way to regain clarity and balance. To his surprise, this did not push Lily away. Instead, it made their relationship stronger as he became a calmer, more present partner who wasn't constantly running on empty. This journey taught him a profound lesson. Love does not demand that we forsake our own happiness. True love allows space for both individuals to cultivate their own well-being. By reclaiming his peace, Alex could show up fully, not as someone depleted, but as a man who had something genuine to offer. Have you ever felt that supporting someone else came at the cost of your own well-being? Perhaps, like Alex, it's time to prioritize your mental health, to reclaim the peace that resides within, and to bring balance back into your life. 4. Don't push away your support system for someone else. Are relationships built on isolation or shared connections? With a renewed sense of self, Alex noticed another area in his life that had quietly suffered during his relationship with Lily: his friendships. Over time, he'd let go of regular get-togethers with his close friends and distanced himself from family events, always choosing time with Lily instead. His family, especially his sister Emma, had tried to reach out, but Alex's responses had become few and far between. One weekend, when Lily was out of town, Alex found himself with free time, a rare occurrence. Emma invited him to a family dinner, and though hesitant, he agreed to join. Sitting at the table, surrounded by laughter and warmth, Alex realized just how much he had missed. His friends and family had been his unwavering support system, a source of strength and joy. By focusing solely on his relationship, he had cut himself off from these essential connections, unknowingly weakening his own foundation. Stoicism teaches us that no man is an island. Our lives are enriched by those who have stood by us through trials and triumphs. Family and friends serve as our roots, grounding us even when the winds of life become turbulent. In prioritizing Lily over these connections, Alex had unwittingly isolated himself, and his sense of loneliness had grown. From that night onward, he made an effort to restore these relationships. He reached out to old friends, rekindling connections and arranging casual gatherings, and prioritized family gatherings without needing Lily's approval or company. This decision didn't detract from his relationship. Instead, it strengthened his resolve, making him a happier and more balanced partner. Alex's story here serves as a reminder that relationships should never isolate us. They should allow us to blossom within our support systems, strengthening all our connections. It is through the web of friends and family that we draw strength and resilience, and cutting those ties only weakens our capacity to love fully. Do you find yourself distancing from those who care about you to focus solely on one relationship? Remember, these are the people who have supported you unconditionally. Reconnect with them, and in doing so, find a renewed sense of joy and stability. 5. Don't invest all your time in one person. What happens to our lives when we pour all our time into someone else's needs? As Alex started reconnecting with his friends and family, he began noticing how much of his time had been dedicated to Lily. He would drop everything whenever she called, adjusting his schedule to fit her plans and letting his own pursuits fall by the wayside. Whether it was for small favors, spontaneous meetups, or simply to keep her company, he had willingly given his time, unaware of how precious it truly was. One evening, while reflecting on his week, he realized he hadn't done a single thing for himself. Every hour seemed to be devoted to Lily or their relationship. This realization struck him hard, especially when he remembered a piece of wisdom from Stoicism. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Seneca's words echoed in his mind, urging him to rethink how he was spending his days. Time, after all, is the one thing we can never reclaim. Alex understood that his life was more than just a series of moments spent on others' requests or whims. It was a journey filled with his own passions, ambitions, and personal growth. He realized that by pouring all his energy and hours into another person, he had forfeited some of the most vibrant moments of his life. With newfound clarity, Alex set out to make a change. He began blocking time for his own interests, going to the gym, taking on new projects at work, and even spending a quiet evening reading. These weren't grand gestures, but small, intentional moments of self-care and self-respect. The more he honored his own time, the more fulfilled he felt, realizing that this balance allowed him to give more genuinely to his relationship with Lily. And surprisingly, Lily respected this change. By dedicating time to his personal growth, Alex became a more engaged, enthusiastic partner. His relationship with Lily no longer felt like a drain on his life, but rather a joyful addition to it, complementing his individuality rather than overshadowing it. Have you ever felt that your time is slipping away, spent solely on someone else's demands? Maybe it's time to reclaim those hours, not out of selfishness, but out of respect for your own life and purpose. Time, once gone, never returns. Use it wisely to nurture yourself so you have more to share with others. 6. Don't share every detail of your past. Is every chapter of our past meant to be shared? While Alex grew closer to Lily, he started opening up more about his life. He shared stories from his childhood, moments of joy, but also gradually his struggles and past pains. At first, this openness felt liberating, as if he was breaking down walls between them. But as time went on, he began feeling uncomfortable, as though he had given away too much, leaving himself vulnerable and exposed. In Stoicism, there is a belief in the strength of discretion. Our past, especially the challenges and hardships, is like a book that not everyone is entitled to read in full. It holds experiences that shaped who we are, moments of weakness that taught us strength, and trials that forged resilience. These memories are not for everyone to explore, particularly if they do not hold them with the respect they deserve. Alex had shared his experiences, hoping for understanding, but in doing so, he'd laid bare his innermost self too quickly. Lily had become privy to wounds he had spent years healing, and he soon realized that this had created a dynamic where his vulnerabilities became talking points in disagreements or judgments. Reflecting on this, Alex understood that not everyone needed to see his scars. They were a part of his life's journey, lessons for himself alone. He began to reclaim parts of his story, choosing to keep certain chapters to himself, not out of secrecy, but out of respect for his own journey. By holding these memories close, he found strength in his past without needing external validation. Have you ever felt the need to share everything about your past with someone, only to feel vulnerable or exposed afterward? Perhaps, like Alex, there's wisdom in holding certain memories close. Your past is a source of strength. Not everyone deserves access to it. In guarding it, you protect your own heart and find resilience within. 7. Don't agree to things just to make them happy. Is it possible to live genuinely if we're always saying yes? As Alex found balance in his life and space for his own needs, he started noticing a pattern in his interactions with Lily. Often, he found himself agreeing to things he didn't enjoy simply to keep the peace. Whether it was watching a movie he didn't like, attending an event he had no interest in, or even adopting her opinions on certain topics, Alex was unconsciously betraying his own happiness just to avoid conflict. In Stoicism, the principle of living in alignment with one's values is paramount. As I once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Constantly agreeing with someone else's desires or opinions when they don't align with your own is a subtle form of self-betrayal. It's like living a double life, one where you wear a mask instead of showing your true face. Alex began to realize that this habit was taking a toll on his inner peace. By constantly acquiescing, he felt a growing sense of resentment, not toward Lily, but toward himself for not having the courage to stand firm. It was a slow erosion of his authenticity, and he knew it couldn't continue. So, he started small. The next time Lily suggested something he didn't enjoy, he politely expressed his own opinion. It felt strange at first, but gradually it became liberating. Instead of mindlessly agreeing, Alex found joy in sharing his thoughts and preferences openly. This authenticity strengthened their bond, creating a relationship rooted in honesty rather than in silent compromises. If you've ever found yourself agreeing to things just to please someone, consider Alex's story. True fulfillment doesn't come from endless yeses. It comes from knowing when to say no and embracing the courage to stand by it. Have you ever sacrificed your own interests just to keep someone else happy? Life isn't about bending to others' expectations. It's about walking your own path, unafraid to express your true self. Let your yes come from joy and your no from a place of self-respect. 8. Don't let the fear of being alone dictate your choices. Are we making choices out of love or out of fear of being alone? As Alex grew more confident in preserving his individuality and boundaries, he noticed something profound about his relationship with Lily. Beneath his willingness to adapt and compromise, there lay a lingering fear, the fear of being alone. On several occasions, he'd found himself making decisions not because he genuinely wanted to, but because he feared what solitude might bring. This realization unsettled him. Was he truly acting out of love, or was it the fear of being left on his own? In Stoicism, there's a belief that true strength and wisdom come from self-reliance. We cannot build fulfilling relationships if they are born out of a dread of solitude rather than a celebration of companionship. The great philosopher Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." In moments of silence and solitude, we uncover our deepest fears and desires, facing them honestly instead of seeking external distractions. Determined to confront his fear, Alex decided to spend more time alone, challenging himself to find comfort in his own company. He started taking solo trips, discovering new hobbies, and even spending weekends in nature. At first, the silence was unnerving, but gradually, he learned to appreciate the freedom and clarity that solitude provided. He found a sense of contentment he'd never known before, a peace that came from within. In time, Alex realized that his relationship with Lily didn't need to be a shelter from loneliness. Instead, it became a choice, a meaningful connection he cherished, not because he feared solitude, but because he genuinely valued her presence in his life. By embracing his own company, He cultivated a strength that allowed him to love without clinging, to share without fear, and to connect without losing himself. Have you ever made choices out of fear of being alone? True companionship begins with self-acceptance. Embrace your own company, for only then can you choose love freely, unburdened by the weight of loneliness. 9. Don't forget to celebrate your own achievements. In the pursuit of love, do we overlook the importance of celebrating ourselves? As Alex continued his journey of self-discovery and growth, he started noticing a pattern. In his eagerness to support and celebrate Lily's successes, he had neglected to acknowledge his own achievements. Whether it was a promotion at work, finishing a challenging project, or simply reaching a personal goal, Alex rarely took the time to recognize his own efforts. His mind was always occupied with ensuring Lily felt celebrated, while his own victories went largely unrecognized. Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from within, and that self-worth isn't derived from others' admiration. As Epictetus wisely noted, never depend on the admiration of others. Each step forward, each small victory, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is a testament to our resilience, courage, and growth. By celebrating these moments, we strengthen our inner sense of self-worth, becoming less reliant on others to define our value. One evening, after completing a project he'd been working on for months, Alex decided to try something new. Instead of downplaying his accomplishment, he treated himself to a quiet night of reflection and celebration. He cooked his favorite meal, poured a glass of wine, and allowed himself to truly feel the pride of his hard work. For the first time in a long time, he felt fulfilled, not because someone else acknowledged his success, but because he himself recognized it. This act of self-celebration became a powerful ritual for Alex. He no longer sought approval from Lily or anyone else. Instead, he learned to appreciate the progress he made, the challenges he overcame, and the person he was becoming. Celebrating his victories, both big and small, brought a new level of joy and fulfillment into his life and strengthened his relationship, allowing him to show up as a confident, content partner. Have you ever downplayed your own achievements, focusing solely on others' successes? Take a moment to celebrate yourself. Each step, each victory is a marker of your growth. Remember, life isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about savoring each milestone along the way. As Alex's story comes to a close, his journey serves as a testament to the timeless teachings of Stoicism. In following these principles, he transformed from a man who once lost himself in another's world into someone rooted firmly in his own values, his own peace, and his own identity. Through each lesson, protecting his mental health, valuing his time, respecting his own past, and celebrating his victories, he learned that true love and connection stem from a place of wholeness and self-respect. These principles are more than just rules. They are guides to a life of fulfillment, a path that honors both self and others. In embracing them, Alex found himself more connected to those he loved, not by sacrificing his identity, but by honoring it. Have you too felt the weight of these struggles? Do you see yourself in Alex's journey? If so, perhaps it's time to take these steps toward self-respect and inner peace. Leave a comment with your own insights, like this video if Alex's story resonated with you, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content on how ancient philosophies can enrich our modern lives. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, true strength lies within, and with it, you have the power to shape a life of meaning and purpose. Until next time, may you continue to embrace your journey with courage, resilience, and the enduring wisdom of Stoicism.